that there was a big women's match at WrestleMania 1 that had Cyndi Lauper involved and the fact all this kind of carnage, you know what AEW is like, everyone Jay out there, like, because you've got so many guys that go CM Punk, like Cesaro, very good, so that story. We loved the cruiserweight division because you had people knew that it was going to be like, if it was time for the cruiserweights, you knew that you was going to be seeing some fun and you knew that you was going to be entertained, and that certainly wasn't the bathroom break. And where you know you're going to see some good stuff, you know that this is going to be worth your time, you know that the women's matches always deliver because we're using a pool of 5 or 6 women that are so good. Don't matter if it's Britt versus Tony or Tony versus Jamie. Or Jamie versus Britt. Like, you know, you've got like this pool of women that you can do these matches with. Each combination is a banger. Each combination is intriguing. Each woman has got like an identity and whatever. Does it through Anna Jay versus Julia Hart, you know, which I know people might be excited about the future and the development and all that kind of stuff, but it's really hurting the perception of women's wrestling. The guys can absorb it because the guys have got Jericho and they've got Kenny Omega and they've got, you know, Bryan Danielson and they've got all these other guys that can, you know, Samoa Joe, CM Punk, like Cesaro, Jon Moxley for all his faults. You know, the guys can definitely take, like, you know, a Nick Wayne, like, who is doing all right, you know, a Hook, who I think has done a lot of learning. These are the people that you'd put in like an NXT. But we can afford to use a few on Dynamite because you've got so many guys that are going to deliver at some point in the show. With the women, you know, Anna Jay against Penelope Ford or whatever, Sky Blue against, I don't know, flipping Willow. These might be the only women's matches you get that week. You might, you know, there might not be any other women's match that can change the perception that women's wrestling is just not very good. So I think you gotta strip it all back, man. I think you gotta strip it all back. I think it's unfair to the talent that aren't quite ready to be putting them in that position and expecting them to shine and expecting them to, you know, deliver OMG matches when they're just not. They're not trained. They're not at that level. Like, they can go out there and get by, survive, not drown, not kill each other. Like, they can do that, but they're not at the level where they can go out there and put on, like, you know, a 4-star match. They're nowhere near it. So, and certainly if you're going to solution, Paul flipping the Lucha Bros, you know, you got the Lucha Bros and like all this stuff, the Young Bucks, all this kind of carnage. You know what AEW is like. Everyone does every move that's ever been invented, and then you're going to shove poor Anna Jay out there and go, "Good luck. Hope it goes well. Don't ruin women's wrestling." Ugh. So it's cruel, man. That's what it is. It's cruel. I feel like AEW is playing a horrible trick on women, putting them in like a really hard spot. So a long answer, but I really love women's wrestling. As I said, grew and there hadn't been a division, and unfortunately the division got cut in like 95. So there's a very small window of like late 93, I think it is. It's not 94, definitely. And then in 95, it's gone because Vince needed to save money and he cut the women. the women's division done, gone. Like that's how disposable it was. That had Cyndi Lauper involved, and the Fabulous Moolah, Wendy Richter, Lalani Kai. Like they were all involved with like a key match. It